Wholemate as a way of understanding ourselves is very personal and very connected, because the whole is about connection. The whole is about Eros. The whole is about love. The whole is about all of what brings us the love, the support, the challenge, the encouragement, all of it. All of that is in the Eros of connection. It's not out in space somewhere. It's not just about people in general. It's about a particular quality of interaction, a particular quality of relationship. That experience is really the only place that our own unique self and our own unique obligation and our own unique gift can emerge. It comes from the experience within of connection to Eros, connection to the whole, and connection to other people.
Welcome everyone to One Mountain, Many Paths, the heart of the revolution, where our mission is a planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies. I just want to start by thanking everyone for being here. Thank you for being here and for making the time to really show up for what we really care about. And I know that there is 1,000 things that we could have been doing tonight all over the planet, like all the things that we could be doing tonight. But instead, we're showing up here. We are prioritizing our revolution here. We are prioritizing each other here. So just want to start by acknowledging ourselves and also thanking ourselves for saying yes to what we really, really care about. And from that place also to feel each other, to feel that we are not alone here. And maybe you can write in the chat box your name, where you are from, where are you in the world right now, just so we can feel each other, so we can know that we're not alone, that we're here together today. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. Today, I'm going to start with a short introduction to remind us of what we are doing here, why we are here together. And then I'm going to turn my words to Kathy Brownback, who is going to take us into the core teaching of today. And so first, what are we doing here? Just to feel that we are part of something so much bigger. We're gathering here every week in One Mountain, Many Paths, receiving the amazing, pristine, beautiful, precise teachings as articulated by Dr. Marc Gafni. And these teachings, this vision, is a new vision for our world, a new possibility that we're calling the birthing of Homo Amor, which is the fulfillment of Homo sapiens. So literally, we're coming here together to articulate a new vision for a new humanity. And we're doing this in response to the existential risks that we are facing as a humanity, as a species today. And so responding to those existential risks, what has also been referred to as the meta crisis, we found, Dr. Marc Gafni and all his colleagues and thinkers and philosophers and scientists at the think tank of the Center for World Philosophy and Religion, that the only response to existential risk is actually telling a new story of value that they have referred to as cosmo-erotic humanism. And so all of us here together today are participating in articulating that new story, in refining that new story, in downloading that new story, and making that new story possible for all of humanity. Because by all of us coming here together, taking our seats at the table of history, placing our attention on this new story, we are actually making it possible together. So really feel that for yourself, like you're not just here in another self-help course, as we always like to say, although we are helping ourselves and we are transforming ourselves, we're transforming our lives, but we're actually here coming together as evolutionary mystics, as a band of outrageous lovers to respond to all the suffering that is happening in the world today, and to be a powerful response. So you can feel that you're actually having a seat at that table, and that your presence actually matters a lot. And so in these next 6 weeks, well, in the next 4 weeks, because we are in week 3 right now of our 6-week summer program, summer unique self symphonies. And in these 6 weeks, Dr. Marc Gafni is stepping back so he can focus purely on writing the great library, writing the core books that are the articulation of this new story. So he's deep in writing, and he is creating the space for all of us in the leadership team of One Mountain Many Paths, students of the new story of cosmoerotic humanism, to step forward and to share the Dharma through our unique lens. So that is really, truly what a unique self-symphony is about. All of us stepping forward, becoming it, letting it come in us, as us, and through us, and learning to speak this new story of value in our own unique way. And so we get to practice that and model that, but it is truly a revolution for all of us here, because we're all being called. As Marc is stepping back, you can feel the space like, oh, wow, actually, I'm responsible for this thing. And I hope that all of us here can feel together that we are responsible to make this happen in the world. And that is what these 6 weeks are about. Like the question, how can I make this real in my personal life? Who we must become is like the new phrase that we're using for that in this new renaissance, in this new possibility for humanity. Who must I become in my personal life for the sake of the whole? Who must I become? How do I become that evolutionary hero that is actually a change maker, that is actually participating in the revolution? And so bringing that into our awareness, maybe ask yourself right now, but also throughout the week, throughout today, like, what does this say about me? How can I make this real in my personal life? And that's also how we're going to go through these weeks. And we're going to be studying actually this new book by Dr. Marc Gafni. He wrote it together with Dr. Zachary Stein and Dr. Elena Maslova-Levin. The book is called The Evolution of Love from Quarks to Culture: The Rise of Evolutionary Relationships in Response to the Meta Crisis. And this book actually goes together with this book, which is called Wholeness: The Future of Relationships. So these two books, really recommend to buy them together, to start reading them, start studying them. They are amazing and beautiful. And so in these 6 weeks, we're focusing on this book, and we're walking through, and I just want to share a little bit about the steps that we took so far, and then what we're going to be doing today. So in the first week, we spoke about the evolution of love. What is the evolution of love, and why is it the only response to existential risk? And so just very, very briefly, what we said is that the breakdown of the world, the meta crisis, can actually be diagnosed with a root cause. The root cause of all the different crises in the world is actually what Dr. Marc Gafni has called a global intimacy disorder. So all the crises in the world can be brought back to a breakdown of connection, a breakdown of feeling each other, recognizing each other, being in a shared field of value together, where the parts are identifying with being a separate part. So those parts are also us as a human being. I'm identifying as a separate self, and I'm not connected to the different parts in myself, but I'm also not connected to other human beings. Therefore, there's a lot of loneliness and feeling isolated. And also, I'm not connected to the whole, so being disconnected from the whole. And so what we are saying is that the way that we as a humanity connect to each other, cohere to each other, feel alert to each other, is by actually living in that shared story of value. And that's why we're saying only a shared story of value can reconnect the parts, bring them together, cohere them together, create the global coordination that is necessary and needed to respond accurately and powerfully to the existential risks that we are facing as a humanity. And so what we need to do is not only restore intimacy, we need to actually bring forth and birth an entirely new level of intimacy that has never existed before. And that is the beautiful thing about a crisis, because as Dr. Marc Gafni and also Barbara Marx Hubbard said together, crisis is an evolutionary driver. And that actually makes it so very hopeful to see that every new emergence always started with a crisis. The crisis is a birth, as Barbara said so beautifully. And so what this crisis is calling us to birth is a new narrative of identity. So instead of identifying as a separate self, and that is actually what we spoke about last week when Claire Molinar, together with David Cicerci, beautifully led us through a practice and journey to into a new narrative of identity, because they are both amazing teachers and leaders in the Unique Self Institute. And so they led us to beautiful teachings and practices to transition from separate self to true self, where in true self we are identifying with the whole, we're connected to the whole. But it doesn't stop there, because Dr. Marc Gafni actually evolved all of enlightenment teachings where you're just sitting on a cushion meditating, feeling the oneness of the cosmos. But actually after that, you actually get to step back into your unique story, because you know and you identify as a unique expression of the love beauty, the love intelligence of all that is, and that uniquely comes alive in you, as you, and through you. And as such, you as a unique self have unique gifts to give into this unique self symphony that only you and no one other than you can give. And so that's where it's becoming really exciting, because then we know that actually our life is so meaningful and so powerful, and it matters so much that we actually show up in the fullness of our power, giving our unique gifts into the symphony, into the world. And together we can form a unique self symphony, all of our unique selves coming together in a shared story of value, giving our gifts, giving our gifts, giving our gifts, until we have a planetary awakening in love. So that is super exciting. That's the new narrative of identity that we spoke about last week. This week, we're going into the next chapter, and there's another framework which is very relatable to this framework of separate self, unique, true self, unique self. And so this week, we're going to be talking about the framework of roommate to soulmate to wholemate. And this is about the new narrative of relationship that we need to articulate and embody and practice. So we have a new narrative of identity, we have a new narrative of relationships. And so the words already alert to it, and Kathy is going to take us deep inside these teachings. We're moving from roommate, where it is about my separate self and playing a role, a functional role in each other's lives. The old model of relationship, husband and wife playing roles, functional, to soulmates are actually falling madly in love with each other and seeing all of cosmos in each other's eyes and gazing into each other's eyes. But the next evolutionary step is becoming wholemates, evolutionary wholemate partnership, which can be romantic but doesn't have to be, can be collaborative, work, creative relationships where we actually come together, wholeness in ourselves, wholeness in the relationship with each other, and we're coming together for the sake of the whole. We are omni-considerate of the whole. We're all coming together to be in service of that whole with our unique clarified desire. And if we do that, then we're serving the whole, but that serving the whole is actually serving our own unique desire, because there's no distinction anymore. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. Kathy Brownback is going to take us into these teachings. And Kathy is an amazing, beautiful woman who has been studying with Dr. Marc Gafni for over a decade. And she has actually been a teacher at Exeter Academy, where she's been teaching philosophy and religion for over 30 years. So she's an amazing teacher, an amazing educator. She was actually invited to become the dean of the academy, but instead of doing that, she is here with us, with the Center for World Philosophy and Religion, because she cares so much about the world and wanting to make and participate in the change that we are here together. Before I turn my word to Kathy, I'm actually going to turn my word to Jamie Long, who is the executive producer here of One Mountain Many Paths, who will take us into a resonance of the evolutionary love code. And that evolutionary love code is kind of a very core, distinct articulation of today's teachings that will kind of take us to the inside of it. So I turn my word to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Krista. And it's a delight for me today to resonate these today's evolutionary love code in preparation for Kathy Brownback's message for us today in this third week of our summer program. This week's evolutionary love code is about whole mate relationships. So this is this week's evolutionary love code. We're confronted by crisis, cellular crisis, personal crisis, and meta-crisis. Every crisis is a crisis of intimacy. The meta-crisis, for example, is a global intimacy disorder. A crisis of intimacy can only be solved by the emergence of a new level of intimacy. The root of the meta-crisis is the alienated relationship of the part from the whole. The part is non-intimate with the whole. A crisis of intimacy is a crisis of relationship. The crisis is resolved by a new level of relationship. We call homomorph relationships whole mate relationships or evolutionary relationships. Whole mate relationships are an essential dimension of the new story of value in response to the meta-crisis. Whole mate relationships are also, not coincidentally, a crucial dimension in response to the personal crisis of love experienced by every human being, whether they are in a role mate or soulmate relationship, or they refuse to enter such a relationship because it does not address their deepest longing. And with that, I turn my word to Kathy Brownback.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Krista. Wonderful introduction. And I want to pick up on what you've both said and talk about a specific part of this notion of being a whole mate. And it has to do with what it feels like to be a whole mate, which I think is a really important feeling for us to identify, where it comes from and how we can cultivate it. To be for the whole, to be in service to the whole is what the whole mate is about. But in order to be in service to the whole, we really need to have an internal experience of the whole. We need a sense of interiority, a sense that is crucial to what we're calling homoamor, to what we're calling the whole mate. And it can come in lots of ways. For some people, it's through some experience of meditation or prayer or chanting or breath work or plant medicine or being out in nature, walking on the earth. And there are lots of different ways to experience it. But sometimes we get confused about what the whole actually feels like. It's not just the whole, to be in service to the whole is not just to be in service to a lot of people, although it is that, a lot of people, but it's also to experience an alive energy within us, which, as we have many times heard Marc talk about, it's the quality of Eros or love. And whole mate is deeply in touch with that energy. So the whole has the external experience of being something very vast, very big, including a lot of people, a lot of animals, a lot of plant life, a lot of the cosmos. It's very big. And it also has the face of intimacy, of something very close, very, very personal, something that touches us. And it's both. It's both that external face and an internal dimension. So sometimes I remember when I was first learning meditation early on, I had experiences of great spaciousness, and there's a a text, a Buddhist prayer text that I often heard, that vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata is the Buddha. I wear the Tathagata teachings, saving all sentient beings. And I could feel the hugeness of that intention, the beauty of that intention, but also just the overwhelming size of it all. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata teaching, saving all sentient beings. And I loved it in lots of ways, but I also could feel in it a sense of, where do I go? What do I do with this? What does it mean, really? And that experience sometimes for us of it being very, of the whole being very large and very vast, it can lead us to a sense of what Marc has often referred to as the void. And that was my experience. I came to a place where nothing seemed really significant to me anymore. And the first thing I noticed was that I didn't laugh at things anymore, and I didn't feel a real connection to anything really, and not even to myself really, especially not to myself in some ways. And I noticed that I'd become more judgmental in ways that I was not what I aspired to at all. And I had this sense of detachment that I associated with meditation in some way. And I don't think that that's truly where meditation is meant to take us. I don't think that's what the Buddha taught, but it was what I somehow had interpreted or come to. And I think, unfortunately, I think that experience is true for a fair number of people, with either with meditation or with some kind of contemplation of the hugeness of it all. Is that you can just feel incredibly insignificant, like it's what am I in the midst of all this? And it's a feeling that the existentialists, which was a literary movement, what they felt very clearly, the Sartre and Camus and Beckett and all those people, they experienced the void. They knew what that was about, and they took it as the real absurdness of our believing that we have any meaning or any purpose or value in the universe. It was just seemed ludicrous to them. And that was what they taught. And some of them really liked Buddhism for that reason, because they felt like it kind of gave a voice to that in some sense. So Marc has talked about the void really all the time I've known him, and which has really been, I think it's now maybe 15 years or so it was one of the things that I think first drew me to his teaching. And it was something that when I did teach it, when I was teaching high school students, they recognized it. They knew what the void was. They knew that feeling, and they wanted to know something more about it. So recently, Lucas, who's part of our community, put me onto a movie called Thunderbolts, which some of you may have seen. I'm not particularly an Avengers aficionado. I've watched a couple of movies, but I don't track the group that well or know what's going on with them. But I did, because Lucas recommended this, I watched it. And it's a movie where the main character really experiences the void. One of the main characters, he's a guy named Bob who's had some difficulties in his life, and he gets recruited to be part of a scientific experiment. And it's a long story, but anyway, he ends up becoming really acutely aware of and articulate about the void. And he traces it to the experience of shame. And he talks about rooms of shame that the New York City, which is coincidentally my city, is that it's that there are rooms of shame that all of us carry. And there are different flashbacks for different characters about things. They go back to parts of their lives where they didn't come through for someone, or they fell short in some way, or they hurt someone, or something happened, and they would go back. Each person would go back to that moment and be tormented by it, really, which is, I think, probably an experience all of us can relate to. Is that, not I'm sure not one of us has missed those moments when we just didn't come through in some way that we needed to, either because we were scared, or we were just not paying attention, or we didn't have the right information, or whatever it was, we just flat out mean, whatever it might have been. There are things that we do carry, and that's what this character Bob referred to as rooms of shame. And they had a visual in the movie of New York City being kind of covered with this black kind of fog almost, and it really reminded me of an expression that Marc has used about that our world is drenched in shame. And in this case, it took a very specific form for each person, but it's also just a quality that we carry as humans, really. And sometimes it's related to specific shame, and sometimes it's related to just that feeling of smallness in the face of a gargantuan universe. And here we are with no roadmap and no set of instructions when we're born, and here we are. And I think that experience of just feeling very small and sort of, who am I in the midst of this? What am I doing? I think it's a common experience. And Yelena is one of the Avengers, and she comes across Bob, and he's discussing this experience of shame and this experience of the void. And she said, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about." She said, "But you just have to shake it off. You just have to push through it. You just have to get rid of it." And she is, not a great character in the beginning of the movie. She's very, she's like that. She's sort of like, "Oh, get over yourself," that kind of thing. And then so she tells that to Bob, but he can't. He's not able to do that. That he can't just shake it off. It's much bigger than that for him. And Yelena has this conversation with her father, from whom she's estranged. And he finally, for good reason, he's not been a great father in a lot of ways, but he kind of comes to his senses, and he owns the fact that he hasn't been a great father. And then he talks to her. He said, "You used to be different. You used to be a different person." He said, there's this very poignant scene. He says, "Do you remember why you wanted to be the goalie on your high school?" I can't remember if it was volleyball or hockey, or it wouldn't be volleyball, but it was hockey or whatever game. I think it was hockey or lacrosse or something. She was playing the role of goalie. And he said, "Do you remember why you wanted to be the goalie?" She says, "No, not really." She said, "Maybe because I didn't have to move much." And he said, No, it wasn't that. He said, "What you said at the time was, I want to be the one who's there for people when they make a mistake." And it's a beautiful line, really, when you think about it, because the goalie is the one who saves the point, or at least tries to save the point, isn't always able to save the point, but she's the one, when everybody else kind of, the ball slips through, she's there. And so it's a beautiful line, and it kind of reminds Yelena that her father remembers who she was and kind of knows her in a way that she didn't really recognize. And so they have a reconciliation, which is good for her and good for him. And then she goes back to Bob, who at some point later, and she says, "I realized I was wrong. You can't shake it off. You can't shake it off by yourself. You can't just kind of, it's not like that. You need us," meaning the Avengers. She's an Avenger. You need the Avengers. You need us to be there with you. And so they set about rescuing him in a long, complicated drama that you can imagine from an Avengers movie. It goes all over the place. But it's a dramatic attempt to pull him back from the void, which is successful. it's not a great movie because then they don't do too much with it. They don't kind of bring it home in a way that I think they could. But it's a great moment and a great reminder that the void is not something that you can overcome by yourself. It's something that you do need people. You do need some other larger group or person, or it could just be one person, but you need someone who can help you come out of the void and really experience the whole in a different way. So it's not the wholeness of emptiness, which is what I had sort of taken it to be myself in early meditation. It's not the self of detachment. It's not the wholeness of kind of getting away from the personal. It's really very much the personal. It's very connected to the personal. And so wholemate as a way of understanding ourselves is very personal and very connected, because the whole is about connection. The whole is about Eros. The whole is about love. The whole is about all of what brings us the love, the support, the challenge, the encouragement, all of that is in the Eros of connection. It's not out in space somewhere. It's not just about people in general. It's about a particular quality of interaction, a particular quality of relationship. And that experience is really the only place that our own unique self and our own unique obligation and our own unique gift can emerge. It comes from there. It doesn't come from sort of thinking about it and kind of, wishing it were this and thinking it might be that. And it's whatever. It comes from the experience within of connection to Eros, connection to the whole, and connection to other people. So it always reminds me of that line in the Lord of the Rings when Frodo is about to go off to Mordor to return the ring to its source, to get the ring, the anti-value of the ring, to get it back to its source where it will be absorbed. And he is about to go off on this incredibly dangerous journey that it is just monstrous. It's a huge journey. And he sets off and he gets halfway across this lake, and his friend Sam is calling after him. He said, no. He said, Frodo, you can't do this. And Frodo said, yeah, I have to go to Mordor. I have to go alone. And Sam starts into the water and starts after him, even though he can't swim. He says, yeah, I know you're going alone. He said, I'm going with you. And that's the kind of quality of being with another person that is needed. That's what the intimacy of wholeness is really about. So these are tough times to talk about serving the whole. I mean, the whole is in massive difficulty, as Marc's often talked about the meta crisis and the multiple forms of challenge that are facing us. It's hard to think about serving the whole. It's like, how can I serve the whole? But and there's a sense of wishing that times were different, wishing that there was a different, that the world was different, that things had turned out differently. And again, another line from the Lord of the Rings is when Frodo is faced with equally very challenging times for his world, and he says, I wish it need not have happened in my time. And Gandalf, who's the wizard, says to him, so do I. And so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. So that decision about what to do with the time that is given to us. It's sometimes it doesn't even feel like a decision. It feels like you couldn't have done anything differently, but you could have. You always have to choose. You always have to choose what form your service to the whole is going to take. And it's a choice that comes out of the experience within. It's not like necessarily I look at this career and that career and I think about the other things that I, need, whatever. It's something that emerges from your own experience of yourself at the deepest level. And it comes from your own experience of your own essence, your unique essence. And so that's how it requires a kind of practice. It requires a practice community, which is what we are in many ways. And it requires practices that some of us do that are not part of the community particularly. But there, as I said, it could be meditation, it could be breath work, it could be lots of things. There's lots of things that bring people to that deeper sense of intimacy with themselves. So I thought it might be good to do a guided meditation to just give us a chance to experience that space within ourselves, if you're willing to do that. So if you're not, you can just sit and go in silence. But I'll just lead us through it'll be a short guided meditation and then Krista later will be bringing us into a practice of writing outrageous love letters, which will give you a chance to put something into writing that you might encounter in the course of meditation. So that said, this is a moment to just let your eyes close. Bring yourself to a space that feels connected to yourself. Inside your own body. Feeling your heart. Feeling your breath. Noticing the quality of your breath. Feeling your breath as it moves through your body, carried in your bloodstream. As it moves into your heart, your lungs, your belly. Feeling your connection to the ground, to the earth. Feeling your groundedness in this earth. And noticing your thoughts as they pass through your mind. Letting them pass by. And then bringing yourself to a sense of a place where you feel connected. To a larger space. You might think of a place where you felt a connection with one other person. or perhaps a group of people. Feeling that connection in your own body, the dimension of yourself. Feeling the quality of love, the quality of Eros, feeling its warmth, its depth, and feeling a sense of your own essence in the midst of that connection. And feeling the fullness of yourself. The ease, the love, the appreciation of others. What you feel for them and what they feel for you. Letting this be the knowledge of who you truly are, underneath the fear, underneath the hesitation, underneath any kind of judgment. This is who you truly are. Your unique self, connected to the uniqueness of the person or the people you're with. And realizing that this love is much greater than any of us, although it infuses all of us. It's cosmic. It's a cosmic energy source that flows through us and that is always available to us, no matter what. Let yourself feel that energy in your body, in your heart, lungs, belly, genitals, wherever you feel it. And just breathe into it. And as you breathe out, you share it. It's always available to you. All that's required is for you to turn toward it. And if there's something that this energy wants to tell you right now, listen for that. And then returning to your breath. Feeling your presence in this collective room. Bringing the attention back to our gathering together. Which may have been the very gathering you imagined, or it might have been something else. It's all connected. So bringing ourselves back together. And I'll return our word to Krista.
Thank you, Kathy. Wow. Such a beautiful, exquisite, tender, loving, outrageously loving field, energy, quality that we're in here together right now. And before we turn to our practice this week, writing outrageous love letters, and I'm going to share about the practice, we're going to hear a beautiful piece from Dr. Marc Gafni, and we will be actually writing a letter together. So please do find a piece of paper and a pen. But before we go there, I actually want to notice that we're in this field of outrageous love together. And Kathy spoke so beautifully about the void and how we have to walk through the void, but also how we need each other to pull us out of the void. We need each other to heal ourselves drenched in shame, and we need each other to heal our planet that is drenched in shame. So how crazy that we try to do this alone. And there is actually a beautiful opportunity here to hold each other, to be with each other. The evolution of relationships is actually happening in the space between us. So can we get into that and open our hearts deeper for each other? Last week, I got a text from someone in the community, a beautiful, dear friend, and he had sent me a couple of texts and I didn't respond to it soon enough. And he was completely right about that. I was busy and I didn't take the time to respond. But then I got a text from him saying like, okay, you talk about mad love, but how real is that actually? Is it just a phrase like mad love, outrageous love? Are you serious about this? And he was kind of judging and like mad at me for saying mad love without being actually in mad love with him in that moment and responding to this text soon enough. And of course, like I said, he was right. I should have responded sooner. But also, I'm sharing this because we entered into a beautiful, beautiful exchange where we actually opened our hearts to each other and shared with each other the actual pain that was like underneath that. And he was sharing with me how he had felt abandoned and not trusting in love, and therefore saying, oh, your mad love isn't real. It must not be real because you're not texting me back immediately. And so that's how we can get caught up, and I can get caught up in our contractions, in the void, in the shame. Am I lovable here? Is it safe here to really open my heart? But also that's how we come together as evolutionary mystics, as outrageous lovers, and how we actually get to participate in the healing of shame and participate in the healing of our brokenness by fully showing up for each other, coming together as evolutionary wholemates and truly loving each other madly. And that was such a healing, beautiful experience. And in this field that we're weaving here together, those kinds of experiences, because we have the intention to actually not only heal ourselves, but to participate in the healing and the transformation of the very source code of consciousness and culture itself, we are wholemates. So we pour our healing, our transformation, our blessing into the whole. And with that intention, we actually participate in the healing of the whole. We have a beautiful blessing for that we say every day in our prayer, which you're welcome to join. Evolutionary prayer chanting happening every day. And the blessing is L'Shem Yichud Kudushabrichu Ushechinte. May this be for the uniting of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine in me, between each other, and in the whole, in all of reality. May all the split of parts in me come together into wholeness. And so I'm sharing this story because that is the invitation. Can we truly love each other madly? Do we dare? And I actually saw it also happening here in the chat box today, where Brent, you were sharing so beautifully your heart, your feeling of separation, of feeling disconnected. And by speaking up, you were actually opening up and actually creating something really beautiful. You're actually participating in the evolution of love by saying, hey, I feel disconnected. And then everyone is stepping in and responding to you and feeling you and resonating with you. And then at the end, I don't know if you saw it. Oh, I see that you're just responding now. Scott is stepping in and saying, hey, I actually have a similar experience, and let's meet and let's connect about that pain that we are both, that journey that we're both going through right now. And I know Scott is in like a deep, deep journey, but still he's always willing to be in service of the whole. Like, hey, let me show up here. Let me reach out here. And that's what evolutionary wholemates do. We reach out to each other. We find each other. So how do we find each other? Because we only have a chat box here. How do we know who each other is? So that is why we created a community platform, and everyone is welcome to join for free. So we're going to share the link to that in the chat box now. Let me see, maybe Jamie, you can help me with that, like the free access to the community. And I just want to show you what that looks like. Because here you can, if you sign up, you can make a profile. Practices here so that we actually support each other to reach out and to do that together. So that whole thing is free. You get access to a lot of content. You can just join that for free. But there is also an opportunity to really step in and become a member. And that way we can actually step in to resource our home, because this revolution needs the resource and all the funding that we can get, and all the resources that we gather from membership is actually 100% being poured into building this new story, writing the new story, writing the books of the Great Library, and putting that out into culture. I do want to say, if you can't afford to become a member, you are welcome to write to me, to Eli. Maybe Jamie, you can put an email address in the chat box. We're happy to look at that with you and welcome you. We are not here to exclude anyone, obviously, but we do want to invite to participate in giving so we can take the next step together. So as a member, I just want to briefly share what you will get if you step in as a member. you are going to get access to 10 self-study courses, which are recorded at the Eros Mystery School. So every year we come together in Europe for 5 days studying with Dr. Marc Gafni, and all of those years have been recorded. So those are amazing, amazing resource of studying all the core teachings of this new story of cosmo-erotic humanism. You will also get bi-weekly book clubs. So we just finished yesterday, I heard, the book club around the book Wholeness, The Future of Relationships, and I'm sure we will start a new book club together soon. So you're reading together, studying together, but most of all practicing together and being in conversation together. What you will also get is 4 live courses with Dr. Marc Gafni that we will be doing in the next year, which is 4 times 3 weeks with Dr. Marc Gafni, which is all around becoming and awakening your unique self. And these are teachings that we're calling Unique Self 2.0 because they have never been shared anywhere before. And the teachings around unique self have evolved so much that we also needed a place to be able to capture all this new knowledge and wanting to share it with everyone here. And so this entire next year is going to be the path of becoming Homo Amor, and the focus is going to become like who we must become, the new human and the new humanity. So all of the courses, everything that we're doing in the entire year is revolving around that. So we have those 4 courses live with Dr. Marc Gafni, together with Unique Self Institute and Andrew Sweeney at Parallax. So as a member of the community, you get access to those. And of course, you already have, everyone has access here to the free weekly live teachings. On September 14th, Dr. Marc Gafni will be back with us. So that is our big relaunch. Please put that in your calendar. September 14th. That is going to be a huge day. And you get access to that. But in the community, we're actually taking those weekly teachings and working on integrating that together. We are making practices, prompts, writing prompts to be practicing in the community all throughout the week so that we are not alone with it and we don't forget it. It's just a thing on Sunday, but it's actually something that we're activating in our daily lives. There's more joy to come to say. Another thing we're doing, obviously I mentioned it a couple of times, is evolutionary prayer every day at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Which is 1:30 p.m. European time. We're praying together, we're chanting together. There's a group of us who have done this already for 3 years, every day, weaving that thread so we can weave ourselves into this cosmic universal love story. It's a beautiful practice, and Dr. Marc Gafni is going to join us live at least once a week, sometimes more often, sharing little pieces of teachings also along the way. So there's an insane amount of goodness and truth and beauty, I want to say, and there's like literally no reason for you not to sign up. Like I said, if you have a financial reason, please let me know. This is the place to be, to really embody and practice and become Homo Amor. So thank you for doing that. And Jamie, maybe you can put that link in the chat box as well, because everyone in the summer program, so everyone coming here now, you actually get access for 4 weeks for free. So you can just check out the communities, check out all the courses before you actually decide to join for real. So there's like a no-brainer, just sign up. So now let's move into our practice of this week. There is a couple actually of core practices that we all do in the community, invited to do. One of them is writing outrageous love letters. And it's a beautiful practice to realign ourselves over and over and over again with the juice, with the energy of outrageous love, the currency of the cosmos. And I'm going to let Marc speak into what it means to write an outrageous love letter. But I do want to say that there's so much depth in this practice, and there's a deep transmission and a deep teaching that really makes this practice like blow your life open. It can completely change everything in your life if you commit to writing one outrageous love letter a day. So today we're literally just going to get a taste of 5 minutes just to feel into it. And obviously We all have the capacity to write love letters, but we're going to actually write an outrageous love letter today. So make sure you have your piece of pen and paper ready so you can dive straight in. We're going to listen to Dr. Marc Gafni with a beautiful recording speaking into this. And this is actually a 5-minute clip of a 90-minute presentation on what it means to write outrageous love letters. And that presentation is, of course, also on the community platform. So let's dive in. When Marc finishes, we're going to go straight into writing. I will be playing some music in the background so you can really sink into your writing practice for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Here we go. So we're going to go 3 steps, and then we're going to write. And I'm going to just give you a couple of instructions. We're going to write, and then we'll see what happens. We're going to ask a couple of people afterwards to kind of hang with us and share with us. But just kind of find the steps. Let's go back to the very beginning. We're reframing the Dharma, and we're reweaving the field of outrageous love, the outrageous love field, which is the 0-point field in physics, which is the quantum field beyond quantum physics, where the quantum reality breaks beyond the quantum into ordinary reality, breaking into Newtonian physics and actually realizing the entanglement of all of reality with each other, the interconnectedness and the intertwined nature of all, and there is no separation. We've woken up beyond the myth of separation, and we're now asking the question, who are you? Are you willing to play the largest game there is? Are you willing to participate in the evolution of love? Right? Who are you? But in the old world, who are you? You fell into no self, silence. But when we actually emerge, we realize, who are you? You are, say the sentence with me, in your heart or out loud. Who are you? You are an irreducible, unique expression of the love intelligence, Brother Michael, and the love beauty. That is the initiating and animating eros of all that is, that lives in you, as you, and through you, that never was, is, or will be ever again other than through you. And there is a corner of the world that is unloved that waits for you and will remain unloved until you become God, Goddess, and liberate that corner of the world by identifying your unique gift to give into and to address that unique need in your unique circle of intimacy and influence that can be addressed by you and you alone. And that is the reality of our space in this planet. And not to know that is to be asleep. That's asleep. That is the nature of evolution, is the unfolding of uniqueness to higher and higher levels of precision and consciousness. And when uniqueness wakes up in its intelligence, it is the universe waking up as you irreducibly. So the love intelligence of all of reality is flowing through uniquely. I mean, there's no way I could have made Alice Cooper a rock star. It wouldn't have happened. Shep, what were you thinking, man? Like, oh my God, and oh my God, he's beautiful, right? That wild creativity of a unique self. Anne Randolph, right? Last night, like, oh my God, right? Like, wow. But then there's Sean Raymer, and there's Victoria, right? And there's Peter, right? And there's Sarah, right? And there's Terry. And we're all irreducibly unique expressions of love intelligence. And if you think that's a new age idea, you're so freaking asleep. Right? That is the best notion of emergence theory at this moment in time. And Steve McIntosh has written beautifully on the re-emergence of emergence theory, and he's dead on right. Right? Actually, the re-emergence of emergence theory in this moment is the realization that reality is intelligent. Right? Even people are completely anti any notion of purpose. Reality is intelligent. And intelligence appears uniquely, and it appears uniquely in your love intelligence, which means that all of reality conspired, breathed together, right, to manifest your unique intelligence to address a unique dimension, right, of, right, need in the world that only you can address. And as Jack said yesterday, right, he mentioned the name of the person on the bottom left of his slide, whose name I don't remember right now, right? Right, and there he was in South Korea, North Korea, giving out wheelchairs. And at that moment, he'd never been happy. He'd gone through level 1, right stuff, not right stuff, better right stuff, but level 4 was, I'm serving. It just blew my heart open. Like, there it was, right? There it was, the unique expression of love intelligence, right, as someone held on to his foot and said, I want to remember your face so I'll recognize who you are when we meet again in heaven. I just cried through the whole thing. That's unique self. It's the whole story. That's it, right? That's it. That's why we're alive. And you know what? You know what? No wounds, no therapy, right? No Prozac, right? No seminar, no 7 steps, no commodified sold love is ever going to fill the hole that Shep talked about last night until I awaken as that irreducibly unique expression of the love intelligence and give my unique gifts. Because until I do that, I'm in the hole. Until then, I'm not awake, I'm not alive. But how do you do it? You've got to access outrageous love. How do we access outrageous love? We write outrageous love letters. We become Rumi. So here it is. You can write it to yourself. You can write it to a friend. You can write it to reality. You can write it to source. You can write it to someone in your life who's kind of half invisible that you've never really recognized. But when you write outrageously. Write as the true nature of your reality. Write with wild exaggeration, which might vaguely begin to approximate the true reality. Because it's only when you wildly exaggerate, you actually begin to see the way it really is, which is why John said, there I was, and I dropped something, right? And it was a particular kind of a medicine, as they call it these days, because no one wants to acknowledge anything else. And that medicine awakened me, and I said, there's wild exaggeration of reality, and I recognized the nature of reality. So writing outrageous love letters, right? Step in, be Rumi. Be who you are. Be an outrageous lover, awakened through writing outrageous love letters. And on 3, I'm going to invite you to start writing. Don't think. Write. Write from that place of outrageous love, which is not ordinary love. It's not a strategy of the ego. It is the unique love intelligence that lives in you, that conspired and breathed together to manifest you uniquely in the world in a way that no one else was. And on 3, I want to ask you to write. And we're going to write for 3 minutes, but write everything you have. Outrageous love. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, take your time to close your writing process. The last few sentences on your outrageous love letter. And I invite you, if you want to share your outrageous love letter on the community platform, and we'll put a link in the chat box where you can actually put it. It's also easy to find in the menu. It's called Outrageous Love Letters. That's where we all post our outrageous love letter, so we can see each other, we can perceive each other's uniqueness, and also support each other to remind each other in the moments that we are in the void or in the shame and we are forgetting. We can bring each other back. So you're welcome to post your outrageous love letter there, and I can't wait to read it.